This video is sponsored by
This intro is kinda ugly but noticeable. You know what you think up before I'll start with this boring, lazy video. I need some introductions first. Oh no, I'm getting nervous. Hi, my name is William Kamkwamba. I just shortened from my real name Daniel. I came from United Kingdom as an influential text-to-speech provider. I became a celebrity when I was a narrator on YouTube for some narration each video's everyday example is gaming channels like PewDiePie, documentaries like CBN and Discovery Channel, antidepressant videos like Grande, and comment awards, and facts like chills and out time 10. So now, this topic all about today is ancient China. Ancient China is the most influential civilizations of all time, because of history and culture such as luxury items like jade and marble, artifacts like the Great Wall of China, and earliest rulers or leaders like emperors. Thanks for wasting your time for monologuing. So now, I will discussing this piece of history today. Let's begin. The first civilization in China ever recorded is Zaire era. Zaire era dated back from 2000 BC to 1570 BC as the first civilization based by the archaeologist in 19th to 20th century. It started at the Long village named Longshan, since the Neolithic nomads migrated from Huanghe River to make civilization without migrating places. Although in 21st century, scientists proven that Longshan is not the first civilized place due to the lack of evidence and neither ancient artifacts nor nomadic people discovered around the area. Next is the Shang era. It was dated back in 1570 BC to 1045 BC, that proved to be the richest civilization by discovering a new lame boring metal called bronze in their own underground area. They used large chisel called oracle bones to carve writings in a tortoise shell, wood plank, bedrocks, hard organic objects and cattle bone. Sometimes if their village leaders died recently, they sacrifice one person that is either criminal or innocent as a gift or blessing to their pagan gods, villagers, and future village leaders as well. Third is Chal era or Zhao era. It was dated back to 1045 BC to 221 BC. Since over time, villagers wasn't believe in pagan gods, because they are so awkward to pray any material such as the god of cloth, the god of sheet and the god of human. These gods are so nonsense that they abandon their old religion and find a new one. So now they believe their village leaders are so-called emperors or monarchs. Their emperor will believe and follow to the mandate of heaven to have full authority and either go to heaven or rule to the villages as the highest ranking member of society. In these era, people confuse that what kind of philosophy that can undergo peace and alliance, because if their village is having a higher population, the higher the conflict rated they are. So, the emperor made those three philosophies that have different rules to follow, but it is subjected to make peace to them. The three philosophies are Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. Confucianism is made by a Chinese philosopher named Confucius. He was believed that, if I made those philosophies, my people would believe me, and the whole world will be peaceful forever. Confucianism is a kind of silent organization that they believed and followed his teachings. For example, simple in manner and slow of speech, and I only instruct the eager and enlighten the fervent. If I hold up one corner and a student cannot come back to me with the other three, I do not go on with the lesson. Next is Taoism. Taoism is a kind of spiritual teachings. Unlike religion, Taoism has no gods. It was believed that niggers and whites can equal each other by lessen the overlook the color externally, but to feel their own good and balanced things internally. For example, my friend sees two 13-year-old retard girls, trying to be accurate, argue which Korean boy bands are the best and girls thinks their faces and bodies first before their songs. The girl 1 said BTS is the best and girl 2 said EXO is the best. When they saw magazines, all girls kiss the face of a Korean like sucking each other's mouth and shouts like an ambulance trying to make noise like a jet sound. My friend concerns to them and said, girls, don't look at their faces, look it more deeply. If you see stylistic clothes and boys taking lips to lips each other, they are more seen to be happy as gay AF. Their songs are good though, no need to judge. But girls didn't hear my friend argument, so they are escaping to him and continue to argue. Last is the legalism. It was made for against greedy and sinful members of society. Their rules is to make strict laws and harsh penalties to them. For example, today is just like legalism, but more strict and harsh, that all innocent people is safe and no one could harm them. Third is the Qin era. It was dated back in 221 BC to 206 BC. Qin dynasty enslaved the first emperor to make an agreement that he wanted to take his authoritarian powers to the sake of China, and the emperor will be a billionaire if he peeled 36 tons of potatoes in front of his face. Then it worked. Under his administration, he controlled the power of an emperor to make other villages being united and the lands joined in one piece. People of his administration wanted to call his name as Shi Huangdi than Qin, because the civilians respect their leaders as king/queen of heavens. She built a great wall called the Great Wall of China, which the purpose is to protect the villages against Mongol nomads trying to crossing the border inside each other. The size is measured about 1600 miles and the height mows about 6 to 7 meters in total. His dynasty is dying due to his death, conflict between Liu Bang, and invasion of Han dynasty. Fourth is the Han era. It was dated back to 202 BC to 200 CE. That all people in their administration were believing Confucianism as a way of religious concept in Chinese philosophies and literature. This era, their language changed it by make it more simplified to make people, especially beginners, understand Mandarin/Cantonese easier. After that, Mongolia and China ceasefire the nomadic war and making peace talks called Pax Sinica, which there is agreement that two countries will be strong in terms of friendship between them in 500 years. But if you break the law, the war will brought back and the conflict between yours will go back, and it worked. But after 200 Christ era, Han dynasty disappeared immediately without any trace, so the powers of Han emperors will be transferred to the Sui dynasty. Next is the Sui era. It was dated back 589 CE to 618 CE, that only two emperors of their dynasty becomes leader, because of investigation of Han disappearance and civil wars to the civilians between 203 CE to 588 CE. They used their power to make lands and people united after the civil war, and they fixed and refurbished the Great Wall of China after a long Great War between nomadic Mongols and Chinese. The Great Wall did not fixed in Han era because of Pax Sinica agreement. Sui emperors made the Great Canal from Huanghe River to Yangtze because of water from Huanghe is always flooding to the villages, and they need to row out the river to Yangtze to make flooding stop and to move Banlik less hassle. When the flood water decreases flowing, their dynasty was betrayed by Li Yuan. That can cause anomalies in Sui era and became abolished the era itself. So now, Li Yuan will re-rule the China, but the dynasty was changed by the appearance of Tang dynasty and he fucked up. It was dated back at 618 CE to 907 CE. After Li Yuan betrayed the Sui era as a karma, he manages to rule the China as a renounced emperor before the monarchical powers will go to anonymous people in China. Since then, land borders cruel and fighting each other, and the emperor wasn't care for that. Furthermore, they decide to broke up their relations first and became separated each other, and they have different classified arts, technology, and literature. Over the years, when Li sucks being an emperor, he need a replacement for another leader of China, and he decides to reinvent something to look the king stuff different to the others. It looks like democratic, but still a king, but a stupid one. It is called civil service examination. The purpose of these is to take exam psychological test to become a future emperor. It was started at the Han era, but it was popularized in this era over time. Many dumb people, it said to the Encyclopedia of 1857, they are taking examination to be an emperor, and they find a new one. But here's the catch. The new emperor was indeed poor in these circumstances. He was illiterate and cannot speak Chinese because he is a fugitive Mongolian nomad. He replaces the emperor and he ruled the China. He lives like a luxury without caring civilians. In his administration, over time, he knew that the conflict in land borders became worsened and worsened. Because he's illiterate, he decided to make a civil war between the government and the people. When the Mongolian nomads in the Great Wall ignored to fight them, they are now invading the China so easily that it was just a piece of cake. Then the government wiped out, and they replaced a new Chinese emperor came from Mongolia and named Kublai Khan. This is the last dynasty humiliated because of land wars and poor government system ever made.